Welcome to What a Creep, the show with Margot Donohue and Sonia Mansfield, talking about creeps from the past to the present.
This is your quick guide to the biggest creeps, jerks, assholes, and losers, the best of the worst.
From two nice ladies who want the world to be a little less creepy. Welcome back to What a Creep. This is Margot Donohue, and my cohort in creepitude, as always, is the amazing Sonia Mansfield. Hey, Sonia.
Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend. We are the podcast that talks about creeps from the past to the present. We got a football-themed episode this week for our creep, and then we will end the episodes like we end all of them with someone who's not a creep. That leaves you feeling a little more uplifted about the world, does it not? We are always looking for suggestions for creeps and non-creeps, so we have a basic Facebook page, but that's just where people go to complain about our language. This is your warning. We use salty language in this program, and no, we are not changing.
Nope. Fuck. Shit. Damn.
We have a private Facebook group, and that's where Sonia and I are the most interactive. You type in What a Creep Podcast Group. You have to answer a few questions, and we will let you in, and we just talk about pop culture and things like that. It's really fun. It's a good place to hang out. We're on Twitter at CreepPod because somebody had What a Creep on Twitter for 10 years and never used it. Creep. And then we're on Threads and Instagram and Blue Sky at What a Creep Podcast. And also, we have an old-timey email, whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. If you would like some stickers, send us your address via email, and we will drop them in the mail for you. I got a stack of them. They're very cool. Mm-hmm. Sonia, do you want to tell them about the website?
Yeah, go to whatacreeppodcast.com, and it's everything you want to know about our show, but we're afraid to ask. You can find all of our past episodes there, and you can click the link, and it opens up, and it's a blog post, and it has all of our show notes with all of our sources, because we source every single thing we do. We're not making this stuff up. Mm-mm. We want to give credit to the people that did the work. So if you want to do a deeper dive on any of the creeps, that's a fabulous place to start. We also have a link to our merch shop where you could get t-shirts and tote bags and face masks because there's a new strain of COVID going around.
Or the bird flu? Is that the next thing that's killing people?
Yeah, the bird flu, all the stuff. Or hey, maybe you just have a cold and you want to protect people, which is a lovely thing to do. Get yourself a face mask. There's also a link to our Substack, and there's a link to our Patreon. You want to tell them about that, Margot?
Yes, Patreon. We have our first 8 seasons on our Patreon wall. Yes, 8. Plus, we put out 2 bonus episodes a month, and we just kind of shoot the shit in those episodes. They're really fun, and it's just a way to help pay the cost for the show. And we really are so grateful to all of you that participate there. I want to say hello to Sarah. I think it's Sarah. It's 2 A's. And Jamie for joining the Patreon page this week. Thank you. Another way to support us is to leave us reviews, especially 5-star reviews and Apple Podcasts. Want to thank Mom 10. We talked about it last week. 101609 left us a great review, and also thank you. And Sarah in Spotify left us a review. Thank you, Sarah. We really appreciate that. But
that's nice of you.
It's nice of all of you. And we just really, like I said, we really appreciate it. It just helps us find people to find our show, that kind of thing.
Yes.
All right, Sonia.
Should we get into it?
Yes. So who are we talking about today?
Okay. We're going to do a couple more NFL creeps. We have done this before. So this is 2 more. Honestly, we could probably do a whole series about NFL creeps. I think we've even done one about just the NFL. Mm-hmm. So look for those if you like. But this time, by request, we are going to talk about Harrison Butker. Yes, that's his name, Butker. And then we're also going to talk about Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. So here's our sources. I'll list all the sources and then we'll just get into it. So for Harrison Butker, we have the Daily Beast, the Mary Sue, the New York Post, New York Times, People Magazine, of course, Sports Illustrated, Yahoo News, Wonkette, one of my favorite fun news sites, and Wikipedia. And then for Aaron Rodgers, we have CNN, the Daily Beast, his very own Twitter account, where he says all kinds of shitty garbage things every day. We also have a Twitter account for a reporter for the Daily Beast, Justin Baragana, I think, the Mary Sue, and Wikipedia always. So Harrison Butker is the current kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs, who recently showed his true bigoted face while speaking at a graduation ceremony earlier this month. Aaron Rodgers is a quarterback for the New York Jets, who has just a lot of bad takes about vaccines, 9/11, and Sandy Hook because he, quote, does his own research. We love that. But we're going to start with Harrison Butker. This was a very popular request from our Facebook group. So, born July 14th, 1995.
Christ on a cracker, we are old.
To Harrison Butker Sr., his mother Elizabeth, raised in Georgia. His mother, Elizabeth Keller Butker, is actually a medical physicist and has been working at Emory College since 1988.
Really?
Yes, she's a real fucking smarty. So she must be
super proud.
She might be a little disappointed in some of the things he said recently. He grew up Catholic, but he practiced less as he got older, as
most of us do.
Yes, most of us do. But, and then he went to high school and he went to college. He attended private school in Atlanta where he was really great at sports. He played tuba in the school band. Tuba.
Tubas are cool.
Yeah, sure. Why not? And then after that, he went to Georgia Tech, where I just have a typo here that says George Tech. He went to Georgia Tech, where he also played football, and he got a bachelor's degree in industrial engineering. I don't know what that is, but it sounds nice.
Yeah.
He was drafted into the NFL in 2017, where he played for the Carolina Panthers, and I wrote Caroline instead of that. What am I doing? But I guess they weren't really impressed with their draft pick because they sent him to the practice team. And then after that, the Kansas City Chiefs picked him up. And he's had a really good career with them. And they've won some Super Bowls recently. They've gotten a lot of it. Yeah, you've heard of them. They've gotten a lot of attention because Travis Kelce is currently dating, Taylor Swift. So they've gotten a huge influx of female fans, and even I watched the Super Bowl this year, and I hardly ever watch the Super Bowl anymore. So again, in the most recent Super Bowl, he broke 2 Super Bowl records. He kicked the longest field goal in Super Bowl history.
How long was that? Did you write that down?
57 yards.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't suck at his job.
No, he's
good
great
at his job. Yeah, but I mean, you could also go on TikTok and find the compilations of him fucking it up, because we all like to laugh at him because he's a loser. So, they won the most recent Super Bowl, and that's his 3rd Super Bowl victory. So, good for him. He's married with 2 kids, and he is also the co-founder, president, and chief operating officer of something called MD Keller, which is custom menswear. I guess.
He's the dandy, is he not? He's really fashionable.
Yes. So if you go to his Instagram, where he only has pictures of himself, it's all really, dandy clothes. He looks like he's old timey, and he's going to hand out a newspaper to you. Extra, extra, read all about it. I'm a bigot. And honestly, here's the deal. This dude has always sucked. It just came out in the news because he gave that speech. So here's a few shitty things he did before that big graduation speech. He spoke out against the Catholic Church because they allowed a family to bury a transgender rights activist named Cecilia Gentili. I think is how and he actually wrote a letter to the cardinal of the Catholic Church demanding that he publicly renounce the funeral and all of these things.
Fuck off.
Exactly. It's the equivalent of asking to talk to the manager of the Catholic Church.
Leave people the fuck alone.
Yeah, it's just that shitty that Westboro Baptist Church shit where it's like fuck off. It's not your business.
Right.
It is not your business. He's also like, he's a very vocal anti-vaxxer. He was like, I'm going to quit the NFL. And if I have to like get a vaccine and, all that kind of shit, we're going to get into that a little bit more with Aaron Rodgers. Back in 2022, he used his platform to campaign for like Kansas, like trying to strip away abortion rights for people. Last year, he gave a commencement speech at Georgia Tech, where he graduated from, and he said things about how it was wrong for women to live their lives, quote, for themselves. And that freedom of thought has been replaced by a culture built on cancellations for those who disagree. So if you've been listening to this show for a long time, you know that cancel culture is not a thing. It's not.
It's really not.
Like, people are allowed. These are people who are like, you're not allowed to disagree with me, and I'm not allowed to suffer consequences for my actions. That's what they mean. So fuck off. And if your freedom of thought, quote unquote, is that women are here to serve man and that gay and trans people shouldn't exist, we're not required to listen to you.
Right. The shit's wrong.
Like, it's wrong. It's not a difference of opinion. You're wrong. So cut to May 2024, and he gives a comment. So, by the way, this for Benedictine College,
Benedictine.
Thank you.
Buttafuoco.
Bada bing. They are a conservative Catholic college.
Yeah.
So, like, say what you will about like, and they knew what they were getting.
Yes.
Like they could feign all the like, well, we had no idea, but they knew because he just gave the same speech like the year before, but even doubled down. So I'm just going to read like exactly what he said. I think it is you, the women, who have the most diabolical lies told to you. How many of you are sitting here now about to cross the stage and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you're going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that a majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world. I'm on stage today and able to be the man I am because I have a wife who leans into her vocation and embraces one of the most important titles of all, homemaker.
If that's what she wants to do, fine.
Exactly.
I don't care. Good for her, by the way. Good.
Yes.
And by the way, she's married to a young, good-looking rich guy who's like successful and he'll probably retire like he's 35.
Right.
Oh my God. What
Good
a hero.
You.
I mean,
yes.
Good for her. I'm glad. I'm glad you're happy, sir. I'm glad you like your family. I'm glad you feel good about your family.
Yes.
Lots of people want families. Some people, believe it or not, do not. And they're okay. It takes all of us to make the world interesting. It's not monolithic.
Yeah. But also like the fucking audacity.
To tell women who are getting their diplomas.
Yes. Like 50% of the people in that crowd are women getting their diplomas. And he's saying that like, their diplomas are like, whatever, you're just going to get married and have babies anyway.
And you've been wasting your time for the last 4 years.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly. Which, by the way, like, I've also heard this referred to as women going to college to get their MS degree, their Mrs. degree, this is just a garbage take.
Yeah.
It demeans what these women have put the work in to do. And if this is what you choose, that's part of feminism. That's where this misconception comes, where it's like feminism. It's like feminists hate men and they hate homemakers and all. No, that's not. It's about choice.
Right.
You don't have to do those things. And it was just fucking gross.
And if you choose to do them, great.
Yes. Yeah.
Live your life. It's just telling other people what to do and then calling them out for being miserable when you don't know them. And he's 28 years old. I mean, give me a fucking break, dude. You don't?
Yeah. Yuck. So in his garbage speech, he also quoted a line from Taylor Swift's song Bejeweled. Now, this is one of my favorite Taylor Swift songs because it's about a successful woman telling a mediocre man to step aside because she's going to shine. And he's like quoting it to further his like bullshit. It's really fucking gross is what it is. There was something else I was going to say here. It doesn't matter. Anyway, also like this idea, he's like, I'm able to do what I'm doing because of her is what he said. But the way it comes across, it sounds like in order to do my job, I need a woman to fully support me. And that makes me think you're a loser who can't do shit on his own.
I mean, look, you're allowed to be a loser and want somebody to wait on you hand and foot or whatever you think a wife is. And as a woman, if that's what you want to do, great. Fine. I'm not judgmental about that. I mean, whatever, life is fucking hard enough as it is. And he's too young to know this now. He may learn this eventually.
True. This is true.
I'm sorry for you under 30s. Let me just like this old lady, just let me spew for a second. It's like, life can get super hard. And so I've really, really, like, especially since I was younger, I'm much less judgmental and much less, quick to put people in categories. And if that's what he wants, fine. Yeah. And once again, he's young, he's handsome, he's rich. He has a lot of options to him, going his way. And but it's not okay to tell other people that their dreams are invalid just because they're different from yours.
Yes.
And invalid meaning worse, lesser than. Which is bullshit.
Yes. I think of marriage is a partnership.
Marriage.
Marriage is a partnership. And like, I think of like raising kids and household chores or whatever. That's part of the partnership. Like those things should be split up. And like, I don't know, for him to insinuate that that's all women should be doing. I don't even think he's insinuating it. He's saying it.
No, he's blatantly saying it. And like, does he talk this way to his mother? Like, does he just like say, why did you go to school? Why didn't you just hang around the house? It's just really, really yucky. And, he also went on to say in the speech, like that women must not have any control over when they give birth because it's God's choice. There's nothing natural about birth control. Oh, God.
He also shamed women in the audience who would go on to live with their boyfriends before marriage. And he stated that the university would question where they went wrong with them for that.
He is a judgy pain in the ass.
Yes, he concluded that speech by instructing men not to believe the lies they've been told, which is that men are not necessary, and it's solely up to the men to set the tone for the culture. By the way, are men being told that they're not necessary? Because it seems to me that they're still walking around thinking they own the fucking world.
Try being a woman for a day, dude.
He demanded that men be unapologetic in their masculinity and fight the supposed emasculation of men.
And what does that mean?
And like you should do that.
Their balls in public or shoving and getting into fights? What?
Yeah, you should do that and be dressed like a dandy.
That's what I'm saying.
What are you talking about?
What are you babbling about? Just let people do what they want to do.
Yeah.
You want to be the dandy and have your wife who's totally in on it? Like,
yes, then fine.
Fine. Good for you.
Right. These are the type of men that think.
See, this is an inappropriate place to do it. It's fucking college graduation. This is
just
to celebrate them.
Yeah, congrats on your hard work. You're gonna go far in life if you blah 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 blah. Like, it's just all so shitty. So, and of course, like, the speech got its supporters from like the support from the worst people on the internet. It's gross. So also in the speech, he didn't just, talk shit about women. He also is super homophobic. He referred to Pride Month as, an example of a deadly sin and that it's pushing people. I did quotes, by the way, like everyone here could see me. deadly sins. maybe it's about deadly sins. Referred to people, that we're trying to push people towards a dangerous gender ideologies and all the fucking Fox News talking points, blah, blah, blah. He's also super anti-Semitic.
What? What did he say?
Yeah. He said that Jews are responsible for the death of Jesus. And
Romans.
and that you're not allowed to speak out. We fear speaking the truth because now, unfortunately, the truth is in the minority. Congress just passed a bill where stating something as basic as the biblical teachings of who killed Jesus could land you in jail.
Which is horseshit.
That is not true.
That's total fucking horseshit.
Not true.
Liar, liar, pants on fire, sir. Your dandy pants are on fire.
Take that shit to your fucking parties with Mel Gibson. We don't want to hear it here.
And he's got plenty of places to do it, by the way.
Exactly.
It's this edgelord shit. Oh my God.
Yes! That's exactly it. He also said that things like, and this is a quote, things like abortion, IVF, surrogacy, euthanasia, as well as a growing support for degenerate cultural values in media all stem from the pervasiveness of disorder.
All right. So it's all about control.
Yes.
And power.
Yes.
And looking a particular way.
Yes.
He's got some issues.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes, he does.
Try to live the world not being a white man, not being tall and attractive and wealthy, and see how you're treated.
No, he doesn't want to do that.
See who laughs at your jokes. See who takes you seriously.
No, he would never. He would never.
He wouldn't make it as a woman.
No.
He's too fucking wimpy.
Yeah, he also spoke out against, and this is a quote as well, the tyranny of diversity, equity, and inclusion. LOL, tyranny.
LOL. Yeah, right.
Like the tyranny of diversity, equity, and inclusion. The horror
that Jesus said about, diversity and inclusion and loving your fellow man, which is what it is.
Yes, that's the worst. I hate being around people who are different than me. Ugh. What a fucking tool. He also said that, he talked about, anyone who adheres to COVID-19 protocols are cowards.
Oh, you're so brave, sir.
Yeah. And then he criticized Biden's response to the pandemic, which, the president at the time was convicted felon, President Trump. So
yes, convicted felon.
That's right. That's how we'll be referring to him here from now. It used to be disgraced former president. We can move on now. Convicted felon, President Trump. Fuck that guy.
Oh, the reviews are going to come in for us.
Yeah. Can't wait. We get really great 1-star reviews when we talk about sports, usually. It's from
or religion. Let's make it clear that we were both raised Catholic ourselves.
Yeah.
We're not against religion. We're not.
No, not at all. If honestly, if most people actually followed the religions they say they follow, they would be lovely people. But they don't.
No.
They pick and choose what they want so that they can discriminate against people to make themselves feel better. I'm not interested in that.
So overwhelming. It's just
pointing
outward. It's everyone else, not me.
Yes. Ugh. I'm I have lots of religious people in my life.
Right.
They're lovely. They actually do good things.
Yeah.
And don't shit on people. And
volunteer and
they volunteer and feed the homeless and think that we should be doing more to help people who have less than, instead of being we should arrest them and hide them so I don't have to look at them and feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so the responses to this Joker's speech were pretty fast, needless to say. I mean, the internet picked up on this pretty quickly, and
I'm sure the audience loved it, though. I'm sure the dudes in the audience were
for sure. And by the way, I believe the nuns who were there actually issued a statement, and they were they They don't agree. And when the nuns are like, they're taking out their rulers and beating the shit out of it.
I think more people should also be paying attention to the IVF and the birth control and just like the stuff like family planning is a very important part of adulthood.
Yes.
And especially if you're going to get married and have kids, like not everybody gets squillions of dollars for kicking a ball. I mean, it's
exactly. It's a big deal.
It's
like
a
some
big
people
deal,
can't, some people can't afford to have that like fourth baby. Like
even the first, 2 babies is still a lot.
Yes.
Both couples have to work. I mean, most of the time. I mean, I know very few homes where the wife doesn't have to work.
right. I almost none that I
Right.
know.
Yeah.
But I mean, and if there are some, I'm like, that's dope. Good for
Yeah.
you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. One of my best friends is that situation. But she worked like the first 10 years.
Yeah.
She was married and, contributed. And,
Yeah.
but
Oh my God. I have a kid. I would have loved to have stayed home.
Right.
I'm not lying here. Like I would have loved to have stayed home with my kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't get that time back. Like I would have loved to have been here and not like handing him off, to childcare, to preschool, whatever. But that was not an option.
right.
So anyway, the response, the NFL comes out and they push out their response that's like, Harrison Butker gave a speech in his personal capacity. His views are not a reflection of the NFL organization, and they're committed to inclusion. It's like pretty vanilla statement, We also got one from the Kansas City commissioner who said that, his views don't represent Kansas City. That Kansas City has always been a place that welcomes and embraces the LGBTQ community. Like immediately people were like, no, he's not speaking for our town.
Right.
Nobody wants to be looked at like the way this guy is being looked at right now. But then here comes the like QB, the quarterback of the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes or whatever, however you pronounce it. And he just said, like, I don't necessarily agree with several comments, and then went on to say that, like, he's a good person, but we don't have the same values. But at the end of the day, we're going to come together as a team. And we're going to eliminate those distractions and
Do your job.
just-
Yeah, I get it.
yeah. Yeah, which
We all work with shitheads. We all
Yeah.
work with people, right? Like, but we
Yeah.
still have to. That's something else completely. And I think he also said like he never talks to him anyway. Like, ever.
yes.
right? They
Yeah.
never talk. So I get it. We understand that. Like, yeah, people. Yeah.
I'm like, I understand like he has to work with this person, but I also think we're starting to get to a point where these kinds of answers just aren't good enough.
No, and you and I are also
But-
old enough to remember that people
Yeah.
use all these things that they're saying about trans people. They said this
Yeah.
about gay marriage, and then before
Yeah.
that, they said that just about gay people in general. All
Yes.
the same plans, the same talking points, the same fear mongering. You and I've been through this shit before.
Yes.
They're younger than us. They haven't realized. Like, oh yeah,
Yeah. And then the coach came out and, he said, I don't talk to him about this. And I don't think I need to.
I don't
And he
know
said,
her.
I don't know her. He's just some kicker. We're a microcosm of life here, different religions, different races. We all get along. We respect each other's opinions and not necessarily do we go by those, but we respect everybody has a voice.
Yeah, he has a voice, by the way. He's allowed
Sure.
to use it. Sure.
Yeah.
We're allowed to make fun of him. We're allowed to call him an asshole.
Exactly.
See how that works
Exactly.
in a free society?
And of course, like everybody was waiting for like Travis Kelce to come out and say something because he is currently in a relationship with Taylor Swift and like she is the biggest star in the world right now. I know there's going to be some angry 1-star reviews that don't even like us admitting that, but she is.
We're just
And-
stating facts. I mean, she's a very
Yes.
popular human being.
Yeah, and he just says, I cherish him as a teammate. He says that he's a great person. LOL, he isn't. And a great teammate. and goes on to say, like, he's treated family and friends that I've introduced him to with nothing but respect and kindness, and that's how he treats everyone. I don't agree with a majority of it or just about any of it outside of him loving his family and kids, but I don't think we should judge him by his views.
No.
I'm going to go ahead and judge him.
I'm going to be judgmental. Sorry.
Yeah. And honestly, his
you have to work with him. I get it.
Yeah, he said some really hateful shit. He disguised it as religion. You have to keep working with this person. You've now given a comment that's basically like, well, he's never done anything to me personally, so and I'm like, I personally don't think those answers are good enough.
No.
But I don't play on the Kansas City Chiefs.
No, it's a different job, and it's very public, and
I mean, I would prefer a stronger response.
Yeah.
I thought Travis's brother, Jason Kelsey, who does a podcast with him, actually had a better response, which was, how he would be really upset if like somebody talked to his daughters like that.
Yeah.
And if they listened to him, he would feel like he's failed as a dad.
If they didn't walk out or something.
Yeah. And
my dad would want to punch him in the balls talking that way to me.
Oh, my dad would probably agree with him. Like, look, my dad doesn't listen to the show, so I'm going to be real honest here. When I said I was going to go to a 4-year college, he said, why? Because you're just going to get married and have babies. That's why this shit makes me so angry.
Yeah. I'm sorry,
because
Sonia.
It's okay. Because I was like, I knew I wasn't going to do those things right away. In fact, for years, I didn't think I was going to get married or have kids. And I changed my mind when I met someone that I thought was worth those things. I was a sucker, but I don't regret.
No, you have a great kid.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, he's the coolest. Like I have no regrets, but like I knew when my dad said that I was like, yeah, sure, dude. Nah, bro, I'm going to do my own thing because I knew what I wanted.
Right.
And I hope that for the women in that audience, I hope the women getting the degrees there knew, like, whatever, man, you have a right to your opinion, which is what Jason Kelsey goes on to say. If you don't like what someone says, all you got to do is say, that guy's a fucking idiot. And then you just move on. He's like, I don't get what the whole fuss is about, quite honestly. But then he backtracked a little and he said, I actually do get what the fuss is about because I know that certain groups have been persecuted for a long time in this country. Like he's saying.
Yeah, the marginalized people that he's completely tossing aside. That's white supremacy he's talking about. That's the patriarchy. When Jerry Seinfeld's talking about, we need a hierarchy. Like, that's somebody over someone else. Who gets to be on top? Who do you think gets to...
Jerry Seinfeld's so masculine.
I mean, he wrote a Pop-Tarts movie, for Christ's sakes. I mean, but... Yeah, he was also whining about cancel culture and and Louis C.K. and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, they're all fine.
No, and these reactions are a response to that they are not like the number one. They're not the number. They are still the number ones. Here's the thing. They really are. If the world is a group, trust me, white men are the number one guy in the group. Like, they're fine. But like, they are getting questioned and other people are getting more power and they don't like that. They think like, well, if they're getting more power, then they're taking from us. And it's like
pizza. They think there are only so many slices.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And
exactly.
they look at Mad Men and they're like, oh man, that must have been great.
It must have been such a good time. You just slap a chick on the ass and be like, make me sandwich, bitch. And,
drink some scotch at your desk. And
yeah.
Gross. Yeah.
So the whole thing with this Harrison Butker is like the Kansas City Chiefs, again, they got a huge influx of female fans from Taylor Swift. And I think they need to do better than this. But
you're asking
they probably
lot of
won't
the NFL, please.
Because here's the NFL. And we've talked about the NFL as a whole. And we have talked about players in the NFL before. And the truth is, like, They don't give a shit about doing the right thing. They never care about doing the right thing. Like, they don't care. So they only care when it comes to money. So if like all these female fans that came in all of a sudden pulled their money out, then it becomes an issue. And I mean, there's another player right now who has been arrested for domestic violence and sexual assault. I don't even remember his name. And that's almost, that happens every season. Multiple players will be arrested for domestic violence and sexual assault, and they will continue to play in the league because that's the NFL for you.
Right. I was listening to a podcast yesterday about O.J. Simpson, and it brought back all that shit. Yeah.
Same as it ever was.
Same as it ever was.
I'm gonna get out my.
I bought that the other day.
I was just looking at. I'm gonna buy the fancy A24 DVD and stuff. Yeah. I was just looking at that too. We're talking about the talking heads.
Yes,
now,
exactly. Sorry. The olds.
Okay. The olds are still talking. Okay. Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. So he's, again, quarterback who has played most of his career for the Green Bay Packers, and he recently joined the New York Jets. I think he played like one game last season, and then he got injured, and then he was out for like a majority of the season. So Aaron Charles Rodgers was born December 2nd, 1983 in old. Chico, California. Chico!
Woo! That's where Sonia went.
That's where I went to college. That's why I'm so smart. And that's why I didn't get married and have babies right away. No, I'm just kidding. But I did go to Chico. So his father was a chiropractor who actually played football as well for the Chico State Wildcats back in the 70s.
Wildcats. It's the sport of kings.
Football. Football. So as they usually do, Aaron Rodgers did really well in high school football, but he didn't get a lot of interest from college scouts. He wanted to play for Florida State. He was rejected. He was offered to compete for a scholarship for like a walk-on position at the University of Illinois, but he declined that. And instead he decided he was recruited to play football at Butte College, which is the community college right outside of Chico in Oroville. So, he went there, and then he went to UC Berkeley, and then he went to the Packers. So
if he went to Berkeley, he must be smart.
Yeah.
He does. I know.
Yeah.
It's football, but still, I mean,
Right.
You're right.
No, I hear what you're saying. Like
all the people I know that went to Berkeley were really smart. I mean, some of them are nuttier than fruitcakes, but they're smart.
Yeah, exactly. So he's one of the first, I think, football players that we've talked about on this podcast that isn't like recruited like right out of high school into like a 4-year and then right into the NFL. Like he went the community college route.
So did I. It's fine.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Like I'm not shaming it at all. Like I'm just throwing it out there. So he holds a bunch of records, too many for me to list here. He's got a Super Bowl ring. But this isn't a sports podcast. If you want to know all about Aaron
you don't
Rodgers
say,
here.
Sonia. Patrick Mahomes.
Football.
It's the sport of kings. Better than diamond rings. We like the movies.
We're talking about Wildcats from what was that?
1986.
Yes,
Goldie Hawn.
And we covered that on Dorking Out if you want to listen to it. So the main reason I wanted to talk about Aaron Rodgers is everyone knows how much I love an anti-vaxxer. He is one of those very vocal anti-vaxxers. He chose not to get vaccinated against to get the COVID vaccine during the pandemic. But then he lied and said he was. Like, he did this very vague thing where he's like, I'm immunized against the virus, quote unquote. And then a few months later, he missed an NFL game because he had COVID. And that's when he confirmed that he's actually unvaccinated. So actually, he was endangering a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Which, he's just like, what are you going to do? And it's like, you're going to do the right thing, asshole. But he didn't. He went on Joe Rogan's podcast, which is the like hub of do your own research. And he admitted, like, purposefully, like, I misled the media because I don't want to get the vaccine. And when he got the virus, he isolated. He missed the team's game against the Kansas City Chiefs, which the Kansas City Chiefs then won and went on to win the Super Bowl. So it's kind of a big fucking deal. Mm-hmm. You know, he doesn't care that he spreads misinformation about the virus and about the vaccine. He's one of those people that claims that you should take ivermectin. Yes, the one that's stuff? Like, yes, the one that's for horses.
Hey, it's for horses, Sonia.
For a while, he had like a weekly spot on this like sports show called the Pat McAfee Show. And he would go on there and he would refer to Travis Kelce as Mr. Pfizer because Mr. Pfizer was like, Travis Kelce. I'm also going to refer to him as Mr. Pfizer. Was doing ads for the vaccines, and like there was like print ads with him with like the Band-Aid and all this stuff, and so he was calling him that.
Wow, yeah. What a wicked insult there.
Yeah, what a burn. Aaron Rodgers.
Recover? Oh, I know. By banging a hot pop star.
Yeah, Travis Kelce's living his best life, and Aaron Rodgers isn't even allowed to go on the Pat McAfee show anymore because he spreads so much misinformation about shit. But go off, dude. Go off. Yeah, he's worried that he said he's worried about getting the vaccine because it will cause him to be sterile. Oh my God. That's not a thing that happens. You know, he said that he has a moral this is something he wrote. You have a moral obligation to object to unjust rules and rules that make no sense. And then he was like misquoting like Martin Luther King Jr.'s like letter from the Birmingham jail, because I love it when they do that, when they like try to compare themselves to Martin Luther King Jr.
who was terrorized by white people throughout the 60s, including the FBI.
Yeah, shut up.
Shut the fuck up.
By the way, like he said, like, one not only has a legal but a moral responsibility to like obey just laws. Conversely, one has a moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws. There's no law that requires the NFL players to get vaccinated, by the way. It is a league-wide mandate. It's not a law. You're not being persecuted. I just smacked my microphone. I'm sorry.
No, but I mean, there's lots of businesses that do that, and it's to protect all their employees, and you don't have to work there, you know?
Exactly. You're not guaranteed a right to play on a football team. If that was true, I know a lot of dudes who would like to speak to their lawyers. Like, that's not a right, dude. Mm-hmm. Please fuck off. He also claims that Anthony Fauci, who was the head of the National Institute of Infectious Diseases, somehow profited off the vaccine. Not a thing. Mm-mm. He's a very, very vocal supporter of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Of course he is.
Yes. He was actually on his short list of possible vice presidential running mates.
Yes, because he's not a serious man. He's just silly.
No, the brain worms have like eaten up everything.
He is not a serious person, y'all. Just stop.
No, I hate that people are, by the way, there's someone on my street who has a Robert F. Kennedy Jr. sign up in her house. And I know it's a her because I know who she is. And she's very anti-vax. And the sign says, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for the children.
Oh, great. How many sick kids are we going to get?
I don't know, but there are times when my dogs like poop in front of her house and I'm tempted to not pick it up and just leave it there. But I always pick it up because I'm a good citizen who cares about
the health of other people. Yeah,
exactly. But trust me, it crosses my mind every time. Yeah. So if you go to his Twitter account, it's all just retweeting shit about how rad Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is. It's super thirsty too. I think he thought he was going to get picked, but he didn't. It's gross. He also retweets a lot of misinformation about vaccines and elections. Let's throw in election shit too while we're at it. Gross. He claims that AIDS and COVID were created by the government.
Oh, God.
That old good one. He's also
chestnut.
reported that old chestnut. He's also a 9/11 truther.
Those people are exhausting.
They're the grossest. Loves to talk about how woke cancel culture is trying to silence people like him. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And he also said that the Sandy Hook massacre was an inside job.
What? One of the teachers?
No, he thinks the government did it.
Oh, of course. That's what they do. They go to elementary schools.
Yeah. Because the government is super desperate to take away people's guns. So they go in and they like do these school shootings and then we take away everyone's guns. How's that working out for us?
Right.
I'm like, we haven't taken away anyone's guns. We've decided here in America that we're fine with this. We're just going to live with it now. It's super dope. So the most recent thing he did, I'm being sarcastic, everybody. So his most recent thing that he did, he went on the Pat McAfee show again. By the way, he's not even, he doesn't go on, they canceled his like weekly spot. Not long after this, without evidence, just goes on and says that Jimmy Kimmel is part of the like Jeffrey Epstein like sex ring that he flew on the plane. Don't come for Jimmy Kimmel unless you have receipts. Jimmy Kimmel,
smarter and wicked quick, and doesn't suffer fools.
Aaron Rodgers claims that like he knows like, you know, the court documents are going to come out really soon and they're going to show that Jimmy Kimmel like was totally buddies with Jeffrey Epstein. That never happened. Jimmy Kimmel was like, hey, that didn't happen. Yeah, hey, fucko. Like, you've been hit in the head too many times. That didn't happen. He threatened to sue him for defamation if it happened again. And then Rodgers went on the show again the following week and said, like, I'm super glad that Jimmy's not on the list. You know, I don't think he's a pedophile. Like, and then I don't think he's been allowed on the show. Pat McAfee's like, fuck, I'm going to get sued.
So you can't just spread lies about people.
No, they think they can, though. They think they could just say whatever. You can't just say whatever. You can't just go on a show and say whatever. Like, there's a reason why we source everything we do on this podcast. Because we're not making it up. We're not just saying shit. You have to have evidence, dude. And then they're like, well, my First Amendment right. It's not your First Amendment right to like say shit on a fucking podcast and then get sued. Like, no, it's not how it works.
No.
Both of these guys suck ass. And there's a lot of other people out there that can play football that I don't think we need to hold these people up. They're not worth it. Just replace them with people who aren't wrong. That's what I think. But what do I know? I don't care about football. So those are our creeps. Harrison Butker and Aaron Rodgers.
Well, good job, Sonia.
Thank you.
We're going to take a pivot here. And I picked this non-creep because it was mentioned in our Facebook group. And I had a deadline this week and I had no time.
I love our Facebook group.
They're the best.
It's the only reason I go on Facebook. And again, shout out to our wonderful Facebook group and how y'all come out and show such support for each other. Mm-hmm. Somebody shared a picture of a baby bunny they had found and they were like, any advice? And y'all showed up for her and gave her like advice and then were so sweet to her when like poor bunny didn't make it. It's so sad.
Oh, I missed that part.
But everyone was so kind. And I was like, again, I was so touched. I almost got really teary when I saw like how y'all were like raising your hand with like really good advice, not like whatever advice, you know. It's the best group.
It is. And people leave us ideas there for creeps and for non-creeps. And we talk about lots of things. We're big animal lovers here. So somebody had put up there. So we're going to be talking about... Sonia, do you know who Jerome Lester Horowitz was? He's no longer with us.
No.
Jerome
think so.
Lester Horowitz is better known by the stage name Curly Howard, the Three Stooges, Moe, Larry, and Curly.
Heard of them?
Yes, they were a trio. It's very silly slapstick. There's Abbott and Costello, and there were the Three Stooges, and what's the other one I'm thinking of with Groucho Marx and the Marx Brothers? Like there's certain like comedy troupes. The Three Stooges it's just physical comedy and pratfalls.
Yes.
There's nothing clever going on there. It's not like boink.
No, like a
Sweetly.
child can watch it and you get everything you need to get out of the Three Stooges.
My favorite is I came to think, but I tried to think, but nothing happens. He is whoop, 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 duck, duck, duck. It's all just silly shit. Okay, so he was born 1903, Brooklyn, New York. He has brothers that were in the business, Moe and Shemp. He started filming. I'm sorry. There's all kinds of. I think there's protests going on in the city because. Of Trump.
I can hear very faintly sirens.
Yeah. So, excuse me, y'all. He was born in Brooklyn. He's in this this comedy family. When he was 8 years old, he accidentally shot himself. And he never healed from it properly. It was his ankle. That's why he had that funny gait that he did, because he's the one who kind of does all that stuff. It's to cover his limp. He was very self-conscious about having a limp. He started, it says Vitaphone Studios. It's Vitagraph Studios. I wrote about film in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
He just would travel on the road. He was a very introverted, quiet guy. They were famous, just everyone loved the Three Stooges. Their movies were very famous and they were very popular. But just him as a person, he was a very quiet, introverted guy. He'd been married several times and he had a lot of health issues. And it was probably exasperated by he had a hypertension and obesity. He also was a drinker,
No.
Not a good combination. And show business isn't great for stability.
Nope.
But what he did, that reason that he's not our creep today, is he really enjoyed animals. And he actually, when they were touring across the country, he would pick up animals everywhere he went, stray animals, and help them find homes. And he'd keep them until they could find a decent home. So he went around the country and he probably saved thousands of dogs because they traveled all the time. He loved dogs. He just felt a lot of, kinship with them, and they were so anyway, he just was a really decent human being. He died when he was 48.
Oh my God, that's so young.
He had a stroke, and that's what happened. But yeah, that's our creep.
That's so sad.
Is Curly Howard. It's
our non-creep. Yeah.
Our non-creep, excuse me. But
I love people that save animals. We don't deserve dogs. They're too good for us.
He dies in 48. I mean, this is like in the 40s and the 50s, like 30s and 40s, excuse me.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like there's a lot of animal rights going on in the world.
For sure.
And people would just let animals run around, dogs especially. Yep. And he was very concerned about that. So he really, so he was a decent person. So that's Curly.
Good pick. I love that you said his real name, and I was like, got nothing. Don't know who that is. Good pick, Margot.
All right. Well, that's our show this week. Like we said, every week we pick a creep and a non-creep. I'll pick somebody next week. That's how we do it. Then Sonia will pick the non-creep. If you like the sound of our voices and you're sticking with us, we also co-host a show called Dorking Out, where we dork out about movies. Sonia, what are we going to be dorking out about next?
I can't wait. We're kicking off summer movie season. We're going to be talking about Terminator 2.
Judgment Day.
This is going to be real fun, y'all. I haven't watched this movie in a while, but it is such a summer movie.
It's a perfect movie. I love this movie. It's so exciting. So I can't wait. We're probably going to drop that Monday-ish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Follow us at all the places. Send us your suggestions for creeps and for non-creeps. Our email, once again, is whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like some stickers, I know somebody requested this week. I'm going to get them out. I just had a tough deadline this week. We will get them out to you, though. And Sonia, where can they find you?
You can find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and wherever you are, the Sonia Show is probably there. Where can people find you?
My site is Brooklyn Fit Chick. That's where I am for Twitter and Instagram. And on TikTok, I'm at Brooklyn Margot. And on Twitter, Twitter, I'm at Brooklyn Margot. So it's Instagram, it's Brooklyn Fit Chick, and Threads, and then Brooklyn Margot and the other things. Okay, everybody, we have it all sorted out now. In the meantime, happy summer, y'all. Be safe. Be kind. Don't be a creep.
Don't be a creep. Thank you for listening to us talk about creeps. You can follow us at What a Creep Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
But don't follow us too closely.
You can email us your creepy stories at whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com.
But please keep your dick pics to yourself.